Hello, my fellow rogues. You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Rogue Show, where I struggle with the question: is morality objective or subjective? Are they even a dichotomy? I don't know. What I do know is the definition of morality, which is the principle to distinguish right from wrong. Now that's out of the way, why am I doing this? Does this even fucking matter? It matters philosophically, so yes, fuck you. But also, you too can get help with answering this if you want. I shall look at every angle or die trying. So, we shall commence in exploring and inevitably finding Dora and Boots' corpses. So let's get to it. I'm just gonna tell you straight off the bat, I'm coming in with a bias. I'm leaning a bit towards subjective morality, but I swear I'll do my best. So let's define objective. And I'll use four criteria to measure objective stuff. Yeah. So A is independent from mind. B, there's the correct answer. C, it corresponds with reality. And D, can be verified to be correct or incorrect. For instance, I can apply this criteria to the existence of clouds. The existence of clouds is independent from human mind. It's correct and verifiable that the clouds exist. Finally, the existence of the clouds corresponds to reality. Therefore, the existence of clouds is an objective matter. So let's go over some arguments for objective morality. Believe it or not, Ripley style, there are metrics to morality. Consider this chart for a moment, and boom! Objective morality. Now you can go home to your wife and kids and beat them to fucking death. Um, you can apply this to most scenarios. For instance, walking an old lady down the street, murder, charity, rape, etc. For instance, the walking the old lady bit down the street. It's usually moral. It helps. It increases bodily autonomy by making them move faster across the street. But what really matters is the intent. You see, a good intent can make the difference between a kind act and a manipulative one. But I digress. The point is that this is a nigh irrefutable objective metric that can be applied to something that may seem as intuitive as good and evil. This is one of the strong indicators of an objective morality. Did you know? Humans aren't the only dudes with morality. There has been a study of rats where the one who escaped had the choice between saving his buddy and cheese. Spoilers! The rat chose its buddy. The animals even understand the concept of fairness. For instance, a study on monkeys was conducted to figure this out. They gave two monkeys a grape for doing a certain task. Then the treat changed for one of the monkeys. That treat was a cucumber, and it ultimately led the monkey throwing it back. So, yeah, certain animals have punishment systems, help their kin, sacrifice themselves to save their group. Most other animals even fuck with you, kill their own kids, and wreck people's cars and shit. But none of this is mentioning the main source, the insular cortex. This is the part of your brain that causes you to experience disgust, even when it comes to immoral behavior.
You know those bits on the news where someone has died or something? You know those ads where like a puppy it got abused? Do you know how that makes you disgusted and repulsed? Well, that's part of that brain part that I'm talking about.
People with anti personality disorders, such as narcissism, sociopathy, and psychopathy, etc., they lack the function of an insular cortex. So when it comes to hurting people, manipulating people, breaking your legs with crowbar, and then your rib cage with the same crowbar, they will feel no remorse. But that's another argument for objective standards of right and wrong. But here's a little cherry on top. Did you know that if you act more moral when you're like in a relationship or something, the person will most likely find you more physically attractive? That's right. That's what doing good has an effect on the brain. So keep that in mind. Natural consequences are what happens through cause and effect. In other words, you get shit for treating others like shit. Going back to the evolution thing, if a primate cries wolf to get the food for themselves, they get shunned. As with our species, if you murder someone, you get butt fucked in prison. Or, if you don't have an anti personality disorder or something like that, that might weigh on your moral conscience. You might feel bad for murdering old Sally. Piece of shit. So, based on this, it is indicative of morals existing absent of your personal preference. So, that is the arguments for objective morality. So, what possibly could make subjective arguments hold any candle? Let me stop you right there. Stop. Sit your ass down now. Bitch. Anyways, let's define subjective. And what makes things subjective is when they meet 3 or 4 criteria. A. That had to be contingent on a mind. B. There is no right answer. Or when there is a right answer, it's C. Unfalsifiable. And then there's D. There's always a personal preference behind it. So now, kids, I need a little help here. I'm struggling to find an example that is subjective. It's definitely not religious morality, even though it's contingent on a mind and preference of a deity. And there is a right answer, I guess, but there's no way it can be tested or falsified or something because there are other religious moralities that butt heads with it. Nah, what am I saying? Religious morality is totally objective. But anyways, something that indicates subjectivity and morality are dilemmas and anomalies. For instance, my favorite and the famous trolley problem. Do you pull the lever, killing the one, or letting multiple die? This is where I think objective morality fails. You're personal for the death of someone in both scenarios. So is it evil to pull the lever though? To add the caveat, Is it evil to not pull the lever on the basis of someone you deeply care for will die? Man, I wish morality was as easy as this chart. Obviously, it isn't. Because in both scenarios, you're harming, you're ruining bodily autonomy, and you are practically intending to kill. But I'd argue that does not make you evil. So these are factors to take into account. That objectivity can't. I'll give you another example. Is the act of punching a Nazi evil? It hurts the dude. It ruins their bodily autonomy by knocking them out and causing him to shut up. And you meant to hurt him. So whether it's evil or not depends on the perspective. A pacifist would say yes, because violence is bad. I would say no, because the act could be justified because you were angry because he was saying some bigoted shit. And the best part, you could have been a hero. You could have stopped someone from spreading harmful rhetoric that will go on to invade marginalized communities and hurt them as well. So, dilemmas, at the end of the day, are meant to highlight the grayness of morality, defeating some validity of objective morals. I have an interesting question. Do you think animals like this this cat over here has the understanding of the concept of morality? Um, why do you think certain people say yes, a heroic meerkat sacrificing himself for his brothers is moral, and while other people say no, fuck that, only humans can be moral? Well, it's because we subscribe to a certain morality.
In other words, we choose the moral principles we want to live by, whether it be through social expectations, social norms, interpretation of certain moral laws, and whatever you feel like works best for you.
Because we do that, and because, like language, uh, moral principles have the ability to change over time, the more we learn about what humans do, uh, is a good indicator of arbitrariness of morality. Well, fuck it. Let's say you not have principles of morality. Well, what's stopping you? Well, there's one word: empathy. Recognizing how you'd feel if you were in the other person's shoes, or if you were the person in question. At the end of the day, we're human beings. We ultimately feel the same emotions as each other. So why treat someone like they're not human, like they're shit, like they're garbage? Unless it's deserved, of course. The final nail in the coffin for morality being objective is the fact that psychopaths, sociopaths, people missing frontal lobes, certain abuse victims can't feel the giddiness I feel when I get to make the positive difference in someone's life. And hippos, they're fucking horrifying. But yeah, nothing could be more cognitively contingent than empathy, which can hold up surprisingly well for morale. We went through strong arguments for both sides. Now the big question is, Is subjective and objective morality even a dichotomy? Well, I'd argue yes, since I think morality is ultimately subjective. I'd also argue no, because how effective it is to set objective standards in place, but you make the decision when it comes to nuance and complications. In the end, I really don't know. But I hope you as a viewer can ponder on this. I hope this video really helps, if you want. So let me know what you think in the comments. Otherwise, get lost.